on graft, and how far can this go? That is the question. Get to your comment section. Please send in your comments and observations. What do you think this war on graft? I saw His Excellency the President again retaliate what he has always said. He has declared the war on the corrupt, and he says it has come to the end of the tether, and those who are involved in corruption will not be tolerated. I start with the honorable.
35 years.
Honorable, I will come to you.
35 years going on 40.
Okay.
You declare a war on corruption. 35 years going on
38.
40. Or 38. That's what. It is 35 going on 40. You declare a war on corruption. As the institution of the presidency. Now, it does not reflect on the institutions. There are institutions that have been set up to fight corruption. All of a sudden, the presidency wakes up and declares I think the war has been there, but it is actually the actual battle, maybe is that what we're talking about, is what has started. But the point is, the focus on the presidency, as opposed to the institutions, is a very telling issue. Because if you remove the presidency, what happens? Does government continue?
Honorable, you have the mic now. Take it on and tell us what you think about the current, you call it a battle, the efforts and measures that we are seeing. I want you to summarize this whole thing in just 4 or 5 minutes. We have now legislators in prison on remand. We have the former director of Murago Hospital, Mr. Baterana, in prison. We have several other people now on the run. Actually, on cooperatives money, the Minister of State for Trade, when she came to Parliament, she said more than 30 members of Parliament are indicted and implicated. What do you see now? How far can this go?
Now, you see, more than 30 members of Parliament. On the Mabati issue, there were more than 80. So you're talking about the extent of dry rot. You can see if this building, if there's rising damp, if it was made out of wood and the base is all rotten, just a strong wind will blow over the building. The problem is that we have reached that stage. That is the first problem. How is it that we have reached that stage without any meaningful remedial action? What are the institutions of state doing? Are they capable? Are they allowed? Do they have to be switched on and off? There are very serious question marks. It looks like the situation, the picture that is emerging to me is that corruption may have been licensed for the last 38 years. Now that we're getting to...
The license has been revoked.
That's what I'm saying. The license has been revoked. After some, it's a bit like you open up the dining hall while we're eating here and some people outside. After we've filled ourselves, we then open the door and then we remove the license. We now take away the menvo that are on the table and whatever, and after we have filled our stomachs. That raises the question, after 38 years of opulence, sybaris, now the gates are closed.
So do you think that total undermines the effort to, going forward fighting corruption?
The question is how serious it is. Now, if this question is now going to be taken forward, you're going to take these people that we're talking about that are rotten in Parliament. It looks like all of it is rotten. Because if you can ask the head of Human Rights Commission for 20% of their budget, I don't know how they are going to go and account for it in their transactions. But if they can, it shows you that one, the institution that they are asking these monies from, there's a big network that is rotten. The fact that we have reached that stage tells you something about government. We are in a process of transition. If that transition comes suddenly to one end, will government continue?
That's the question. Dr. Jide Duheanzala, corruption everywhere. You understand what is in Uganda Investment Authority. The minister raises alarm, and they also vomited service awards amounting to 545 millions.
By the way, to the best of my knowledge, the information I have is that they have been pardoned.
Oh,
yes.
that they should take it.
I speak it here publicly. They have been pardoned. They're not going to refund that money. And the minister left very disappointed because she was like, these are people I supervise. If they are pardoned and I'm here, then I look really bad. How am I going to work?
You have no authority.
Who has pardoned them?
And
He asks, who pardoned them? You are the custodian of that information.
don't bring me problems. But that's, I can assure you are not going to see anybody arrested, and that money is not going to be refunded.
Oh.
And yet it was a very bad form of corruption that you go to a contractor, you first ask for a service award internally, it is denied by the board, and then you go and solicit from the contractor who you are supervising, who is using money borrowed, a loan man, and have not completed even 50% of the work, but you go and solicit for over 500 million from them.
At
And
least
then
we have,
later they complain.
at least we have more than four MPs in prison.
Now, let me tell you, actually, now you have brought me in the right position. I'm looking at this corruption fight by the president at this time in two ways. One, that either he's looking at it as a possible way of bringing down his government, because now it's outrageous. Everyone, every forum, everywhere is talking about thieves, because corruption is broad. People have been talking about nepotism in access to jobs. It's ignored. People are talking about people who steal jobbery, stealing from your workplace, physical assets. That one, a few people arrested. This one stole a tractor or a pickup. Like I saw a former LOC5 recently, jailed over a pickup. But now, if people begin stealing billions, or even sitting down to discuss how to steal trillions from a budget, then they are threatening the survival of your government, because you will not achieve any service delivery at all. They are interfering with the service delivery. Then the other is probably you're moving after them because they may have a lot of money to influence processes in the country. That is also a possibility. Then the other is probably you have realized that people are so angry with the corrupt that they can use it as a vehicle, a rallying vehicle against you. If the president has changed his mindset, that he previously told us that, these people invest money here, and therefore if we go against them, they may take away the money outside. But also this is the positive side of sanctions on some people, that you steal the money, keep it in your houses and get stuck with it. When we come after you, we can search your house and we shall find that money there. Instead of leaving them to steal it without sanctions, and then they take it out. So if the president means it, he has all our support with the taxpayers. And we shall give him the support, because we are tired. We see this every day for so many years, that people have graduated from stealing 10 million, 100 million, now they are targeting trillions. And then millions are living in poverty, while we exaggerate government figures that the country is doing very well, just because some of us have not had the opportunity to interact with the ordinary person. People, if you look at food insecurity in this country, is very high. People are struggling to live, just to find what to put in their mouth. If you go, you visit the hospitals, and you see how people are sleeping on the floor in pain, it's a trouble. If you see how residents of Kampala are struggling with border crashes because we cannot improve our transport. In the 21st century, we have a World War train which keeps on breaking down here and there. People are struggling. If people are in the city and are spending over 50% of their income on transport, then you expect increased theft. So if we are not serious, corruption threatens the stability
Are we
of
serious
Uganda.
or not?
The president should take this as a matter of national security.
Okay. Your final comment, Dr. Rugarama, on this issue. Do you think we are how far do you think these measures will go?
For me,
Just in 2 minutes.
What is of
in 2 minutes, please.
That would be unfair to me, but I will go on nevertheless. What is of critical importance is how this corruption is being fought. I do not, for once, doubt that NRM has got the capacity to fight corruption if it wills. The problem is that leaving this noble fight in the hands of the president, that if he does not publicly announce, like at Kororo, that you are now going to see blood, then you will not have the MPs arrested, and sends me back to the following. One, when you look at some of the lived experience, people like Dr. Koburunga, Miriam Matembe have written books about the will to fight corruption. We have got established bodies, government bodies, and the even private sector, but let me concentrate on government bodies, the IGG, the police, the anti-corruption court in the president's office. All those bodies, do they have are they allowed, is there political will to enable them do independent verification?
Who gives that political will?
Interesting, at the end of
Where
the day,
do they
it
draw
is
that
the fountain
political
of, it is the fountain of
Exactly.
honor. The fountain of honor. That's why I started by saying that it becomes unfortunate, even in the face of the multiple organizations that we have, bodies of government, instead of taking on corruption, regardless of who is being caught in the web, we just have to leave it to our chairman of NRM and the president of this country, that if he coughs, that's when we see some semblance of people getting arrested here and there, being detained for a few days and then coming back. At the end of the day, to me, this must be a comprehensive, we must adopt a comprehensive approach to fighting corruption, whereby all these established bodies, government bodies to fight corruption, are enabled and allowed to do their work. Let's not have a situation whereby if the president, so now it looks like, if the president has not allowed that such and such a situation must happen, because now, look, there was a talk that, especially from the opposition, because now when we start politicizing this corruption thing, because we shall end up tribalizing it, it becomes very unfortunate.
Honorable, from your estimation and projection, do you think the measures we see now as legislators are now fearing to come to Parliament because they fear arrest? Do you think these measures will actually yield positive results in the fight against corruption? Or they will die out soon and we'll go back to business as normal? Honorable.
You were asking myself?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, when you said honorable, I thought it was, so I didn't. So your question once again?
I was saying, do you see these measures being sustained and we yield something in the fight against corruption?
You see, these measures, unfortunately, are not institutional. What I would have loved, just building on what I have just been submitting to the public, what I would have loved are the very institutions to be empowered and allowed without political interference. Not enough. We need that icing on the cake, whereby even when the president has not talked, we see suspects being lined up. But to wait for the president to talk gives me an impression that probably if the president does not come out to talk, we are giving the president too much work.
Okay.
Unnecessarily.
Maybe there is also interference from the executive. Just a second.
Well, that's a polite way of putting it. I think he's got the point, but he's just being polite. That they are empowered. They are empowered. The institutions have the powers. They have the resources. The only problem is that they are in an environment where they need a switch to be turned off.
But what is that switch, Honorable? You've been there before.
You're talking about the presidency.
Now the president has spoken.
Yeah, precisely. And the action has been taken. That is the switch.
And we are saying he doesn't need to.
That it should not be the president to turn on the switch
Okay.
and off.
The institutions are already there.
The question is, and I put it a different way, that I would be happy to see the institutions working. If the institutions can only work when the switch is being turned off and on, and it is being turned off and on in the State House, what's going to happen when we come to the end of this transition?
Our time is up. Honorable, your final comment on this show?
Well, there is this hope that unlike in the Mabati saga, that this time it will be a clean sweep. My only fear is that we will not have a parliament after that.
Oh.
Or a Minister of Finance.
You had a comment and make it your final comment in just a second.
Yes, I wanted to reiterate that that switch is where the problem is. Because, like the cooperatives issue, the report of Parliament came out long ago.
Yeah.
I am privy to investigations that were done by the IGG Inspectorate and the recommendations that were made, even on this service hour.
Yeah.
Actually, the service hour, the recommendations that were that they should resign. But I think there's also the aspect of managing politics first. I always say, as I conclude, that one of the cardinal principles of law, they are lawyers, that the law should be blind.
Okay.
But if we have the law that sees Rugarama, that sees this one, that sees the other, and then we don't have
Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, the panel. Honorable Wasorore, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Comrade Rugarama. And thank you so much, Dr. Gerard. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. And to our viewers, thank you so much. We catch up again next Saturday in another edition of The Dialogue. Thank you so much for your comments. The production team, thank you.